And welcome back to your welcome back to poly modeling here, and welcome back to the series, and welcome back to our series here on hard surface modeling inside of Maya 2015. So when we last left off, we had actually finished the back end piece of our vehicle. Let's go in here and check some things. Sometimes if you look at some of your geometry, and you can see this. I'm going to go in here to edge mode. Actually, let's just look at the surface. Let's go to object mode and click away from it. You can see sometimes I've got these really weird faceted looking pieces that are kind of working through this. I can fix those. Those actually can be fixed. Let's make sure of something right here. Okay. So this can actually be fixed. If I go into edge mode and select these edges, and hold shift and go grab these edges, control shift and grab these, and let's undo that. I don't want to grab the edges that are creased. I don't want to grab my creased edges. I just want to grab all the other edges that are not creased. My not creased edges. Alright. So I'm going to make sure I'm in my polygon menu set, and I'm going to go here to normals, and I'm going to say I want to soften these normals. And if we go in here and select and click away from this, you can now see, holy cow, look at that. Looks completely smooth, but this is still a low polygon. I have not added in the additional polygons to harden these edges. What I have done is I have actually added a poly smooth face to this, and if I hit 1, I go here to divisions and do 1, you can see that is what the real smooth vehicle will look like. This is with the smooth on it. And poly count is not that bad. Looks like I'm currently at about 200 faces and about 400 triangles. Um, you know, as we get throughout the car, so you can imagine this is half of the side of the back quarter panel in this. This is about 800 triangles, 400 faces, and about 800 triangles. To finish the rest of the car, I'm thinking that the car is going to be somewhere in the range of 20 to 30,000 um, triangles, and it might go over that because I'm really not looking at a poly count uh, per se, but I kind of am trying to keep this low so that I can go back and manipulate it. So I'm going to take that poly smooth face. Now, this is something that a lot of people might not know about Maya. When you're working with Maya, you have these nodes. So everything you do to a piece of geometry has a node to it. So let's say this poly smooth face node that I have in there. If I come in here right now, I can focus on this, and I can even select it. And by selecting it, I can actually delete it out of my stack. So basically, I just came to that and deleted it out of my stack. So now there's no smooth on there at all. So if I come back in here, I'm going to get rid of history really quick. So get rid of all my history. So that's the base that I have for this piece of my model. I'm going to select that piece of my model, come here to my edit mesh, and where is, yep, sorry about that. We're going to come over here to our actual mesh, rather, not edit mesh, but mesh menu, and I'm going to say smooth. When I do that, you see, look, there is a brand new poly smooth face 1, and it's using the Catmull Clark open subdivision, which is what you want to leave this on. You don't want it to use the old school subdivision, because look at that. It still gets very kinked up and kind of whatever. If you use the open sub D, this is a brand new subdivision um, type from Pixar. So Catmull is in reference to Ed Catmull, the scientist at Pixar. And the same thing with the Catmull here. Anytime you see Catmull, Catmull he's half of the team that has worked on open subdivisions or the subdivision algorithm for Maya, and almost for all 3D forms and shapes. Now, one thing that's really cool with the open subdivision is that open subdivision started around about the time that Pixar University came out. Um, Maya, I mean, more so, Pixar was looking for a new way to deal with geometry because, let's face it, you don't want to have to deal with all this geometry to make this surface. It's much easier to have to deal with, put this down to subdivision of one, to deal with this. This is like your basic low poly cage, and then you put a smooth on it, and you can bump it up to like this or throw it up to 2, and you can see higher tensillation and be able to have your car and your vehicle or whatever you're trying to create um, actually have that the more topology to have more detail. So right around the time of Monsters University is when the open subdivision became kind of standard and moved over into Maya, which is pretty awesome that we got some of the tech from that movie inside of Maya. So one thing I want to look at, I want to look at the real vehicle, and this is the real Vertigo. This is, I believe, this is a 1998 Vertigo. It's cause the reason why I want to look at this is because I want to look at some of the pieces of this that make up the body of this, because there's a couple of different Vertigos that I've seen, and I'm just kind of looking for one that I can kind of pull and have a better look to. So you can see right here on the orange one, this is kind of rounded and bubble, kind of rounded on the edge of this on the side. And then in this gray one that we have right here, I can tell this surface goes a lot flatter. This gets a lot flatter on this. And I actually like the flatter version of this more so than I do the bubbly round version. I'm not really a fan of this bubbly rounded version of this. And looking at the car, looking at these real images also helps to understand how the hood is formed. Because looking at just the image that I have inside of my viewport to model from, this doesn't let me understand much of anything. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, what's this little import thing here? What's all this stuff here? I know what these scoops are coming in here, but the things right here don't really actually exist on any of these other images. So it doesn't really look like that. So I'm gonna go and make some adjustments to our vehicle based off of the real world information that I have about the car, and not just those reference images that we have here inside of Maya. So I'm going to take a little bit of privileges with this and make this fit what it needs to fit. So let's come in here, and I am going to use a plane. I'm going to continue this with the actual plane modeling. So let's actually just put this back into quad and change my viewports back. This is my left, doesn't matter. And then this right here is going to be my top, and this is going to be perspective. Perspective, there we go. Yay, and I can close my attribute editor and other things inside of Mahaya. So looking at this, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to hold down shift and get a polyplane, go to my option box for it, because I want to make this polyplane on Y. And there we go. There's my new polyplane. Make sure I pull it up to where it's supposed to be, like right about here. Pull it back a little bit. And I'm going to go in here to edge mode, and I'm going to bring this edge right here. And let's go in here to vertex mode and drag this over. Let's kind of pull this back a little bit more. There we go. That's sexy. I like it. So, actually, you know what? Let's take this and bring it out a little bit, just like right about here. And I'm going to go to edge mode, and let's extrude this over. Now, you might be like, well, what are you doing? Well, what I'm doing is this. I'm going to grab this, get my move tool, and on my side view, I'm going to pull this down, just like this. Go to vertex mode. Let's turn on X-ray. I'm going to pull this down, just like that. And same thing here. Just pull this down right to about here. And then in this top view, I'm going to pull this over so that it matches up. And let's pull this just like this. So now I'm using these views to get this bent over. And I'm going to go to edge mode, select all these edges right across there. Hold down shift, right click, and go to connect component. And it gives me that new piece right there, which is awesome. We talked about that before, how that makes a simple just connection for us. You don't have to go through there and kind of guess. It just kind of goes through and makes it. And I'm going to look at this in 3 dimensions really quick. I want to see what this is looking like. And I think this looks, let's actually just select it and frame it. And it looks fairly well. I want to take this right here though. I want to get this edge right here and kind of pull it down just a little bit. By pulling this down, this lets this round over, which is really good because when I look at this in smooth, you can see what's happening. This kind of rounds up and over. So it rounds up and over that, which is what I want it to do. I need it to do that, right? So let's go back to an unsmooth version of this. Let's go in here to edge mode. So grab this edge here and grab this edge here, and let's extrude. Make sure we extrude along our axis and viewport. Pull this back, probably not that far, probably like right about here. Go in here to vertex mode. I'll select these guys, get my move tool, pull this down, pull this down, pull this back a little bit more like this. And I like that. I like the way that looks. Let's pull this way a little bit. Get this curvature kind of going on here. That doesn't look bad. Alright, so let's pull this stuff in, make sure this is matching up. We don't want things to go all cuckoo crazy for us. And bring this stuff back like this. So, go back in here to edge mode once again. Hold shift, get my other edge. Hold shift, right click, and extrude. And we're going to extrude this all the way back right about here. And let's get vertex mode. Let's get our move tool. Pull this down over here. Pull this in. And back to edge mode. Edges again. Hold shift. Right click. Extrude. And we are back to kind of where we need to be. Get my move tool. Pull this down. And pull this down some more. Maybe even pull this one back a little bit and up. So let's match these so the angle is nice and clean. Alright. So let's match this top piece kind of. Oh, there we go. These just kind of need to come in a little bit. Just kind of like that.